Hey guys, Strong Style Studios back again. It's Alex.
And it's me, Noah.
And we're here with part 2 of the end of the year awards. Well, video, whatever we're gonna call it.
well done.
Yeah, fuck it. We'll do it live. Best and worst of professional wrestling in 2014. I really enjoyed doing this. I think it's something a little bit interesting and not a lot of people do this.
This is fun because we get to be a little more vague. We don't have to be so specific, but we can really drill somebody if we want to.
All right. Any honorable mentions before we're going to start with the worst, because you always start with the worst and work your way up.
Yeah, we want to get to the good. We don't want you guys to have a bad taste in your mouth.
No,
we want that sugary sweetness.
Yeah, I mean, we don't like bitching about wrestling. It just happens to be that way.
Right.
We like to be positive.
Oh yeah, they shouldn't make us do this.
Yeah, no.
But honorable mentions in the worst category.
Yeah. Well, okay. For one thing I'm worth mentioning is we both agreed like Daniel Bryan's injury was a very, very horrible thing that happened and was just like what unfortunate timing. But we both agreed like, well, it's not necessarily the worst thing about wrestling, because worst, I think, at least are decisions that were consciously made that negatively affected wrestling. And I don't, so you can't count an injury.
Right. It did, like you said, it affected the product quite a bit, but you're right. We can't, what can we do about it? What
Absolutely.
Can you do?
So, anything, well, Bray Wyatt's, like, lack of a good feud with Cena. That was kind of embarrassing.
Well, that was a little bummer, but, I don't know, Bray Wyatt did kind of disappoint a little bit, but I wouldn't say that was worst of.
Yeah, and, there's I'll mention that. I think about it.
No, that's one.
I went Dragon Gate USA basically dying because of visa issues.
Okay. I got a good and a bad. One.
Yeah, that's very true.
No, I have a new and a bad.
Okay. And
that's Drake.
Yeah.
No longer being a wrestler, but also becoming a WWE referee. So.
Quite possibly could go down as one of the greatest referees ever. He's got a hell of a 3 count.
Yeah, he's got a hell of a chance, and if he's going to take some sick bumps one of these days, I believe it.
All right, well, let's get started with the worst of wrestling. And you want to start with number 5?
Sure, I think you might get a kick out of mine.
Okay, go for it.
All right, for number 5, my worst of is TNA getting a new television deal.
Really? That's the worst?
I would say that is the worst. I know that a lot of people aren't going to agree with me on this, and I don't relish in the idea of someone losing their job, but to me, this is the definition of a company that deserves to go under, to die. They do not deserve to keep going. To treat your client base, your fan base, for any company, the way that they treated theirs, and their wrestlers, their employees, treated them that way for that long, they don't deserve to get another deal. They don't deserve the chance to keep going because they're such a failure that this needs to be an example of what you can't do anything you want and trash everybody along the way and get away with it. And so when I found out they got a new deal, I was a little upset. I wasn't angry, but I was just like, they're not going to learn. They don't deserve it. Yeah, they don't deserve it. Now the wrestlers, I'm happy they're getting a paycheck. Don't get me wrong, but let's be honest, the talented guys, which is a lot of their roster, could make a hell of a living wrestling elsewhere.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's my 5.
My number 5 worst of the year is Chikara. Now, I haven't really been following Chikara very vividly, like on the matches, but I've been paying attention to some of their booking decisions and just like the buzz around them. And when they came back in May, it was a fucking hot buzz. I mean, look at that show. The place was packed. They had to put extra seats in. They had to keep making the base build it bigger because people wanted to keep buying tickets. It was a big deal. Everybody was talking about it. And almost instantly after that, nothing. People just stopped talking about it. It came back, and it was just kind of a collective, yeah, it's cool, now what? And they did not capitalize on that intensity. No. They roll into King of Trios, and by that time, people are just kind of like, oh yeah, Chikara's still around, yeah.
It felt like they spent too much time trying to introduce new characters and not drive home this main story that I was captivated by.
Absolutely. We go into King of Trios, and they don't really deliver the big, huge roster of international talent that we usually expect. And the show was collectively known as like, it was good. And then we get into the finale, which was a good show that I heard, most in general. But like, I looked at the crowd, I looked at like some of the video from the crowd, and it's like the crowd size has drastically dropped. So I think a company that came back with so much momentum, so much hype, so much like they had not even announced a match for the premiere, and they already had sold out multiple times. And like you have that, and then you go into the rest of the year, and just there's no buzz and there's no excitement for it. And I don't know if it's quite about the booking or decision. It's just the fact that you really didn't know what to do with this popularity. You didn't know what to do with this momentum, I think. And that's why I put him at number 5, just because you did not capitalize on that momentum to really take your company and jettison itself into the year and make it something that people are going to instantly get hooked to.
Yeah, that's a good pick.
Thank you.
All right. My number 4 was just simply the Bellas.
Yeah.
Everything they touched, just, they made it worse. Everything. From their feud together to her, Brie's involvement with the Authority and Daniel Bryan storyline to the cheating angle, which was absurd.
Yeah. I'm going to stop you there. I will say that Brie Bella versus Stephanie McMahon, the promos they had were pretty damn good. They could have been built up to something good, and then they decided to do a swerve.
Well, that's like your opinion, dude.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying, man. Like that was a pretty well built up feud that they just fucked over because
I've heard that a lot. I've heard a lot of people say that that was good, and I know that people tuned in. Personally, I did not like that either. I hated it.
Fair enough.
I just felt like everything that the Bellas were involved in was bad. From making AJ look bad with that stupid kiss angle, just all of it. There was nothing I enjoyed. So.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. My number 4 was the Royal Rumble. I think this. We said about it in our review back in 2014 that was a show that highlighted the WWE's now the fact that WWE does not know how to connect with its fans. Because after the great opener with Bray Wyatt, Daniel Bryan, which was a very, very good match, I still think it's good, they proceeded to have a horrible show with Brock Lesnar destroying Big Show in 2 seconds, which no one cared about. John Cena versus Randy Orton for the 1,000th time that the fans started to turn against. And some other match, I don't remember. And then had the Royal Rumble where, as soon as number 30 hit, where the fans realized that Daniel Bryan was not going to be in the match, the crowd 100% turned against the entire match.
Yeah, everybody.
And the fact that like Roman Reigns' record-breaking eliminations was in this match and completely forgotten by everyone is kind of a sad thing because that was a big moment, but no one cared because Daniel Bryan wasn't in the match. And I think it was just a utter embarrassment that WWE allowed this match to take place. You had to have known. They had to have known that this was going to bite them in the ass. But they tried so hard to hide it and to make us forget and to, deny it. Like, oh no. This
delusion.
Yeah. And I think this was a show that really highlighted the fact that WWE had no fucking idea what their fans wanted in one show.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to touch on that in a little bit.
Okay.
So I don't want to dive too much into it. But my number 3, because we're on that, right?
Yeah.
Is Elgin dropping the belt.
Wow, okay.
I just remember being really bummed out by this. I felt like they had built up Elgin to the point where they wanted him to be the guy who was going to carry it for so long. You know, he was going to be the guy who defended it against all these former champions. And we didn't get that because of somebody somewhere along the line dropped the ball with his, papers when it comes to immigration.
Yeah.
So he got stuck in Canada. He had to drop the belt. Luckily, he was able to drop the belt via a match.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just remember this whole scenario really being off-putting, and it shook up the plans for ROH for a long time. And
I don't push.
Yeah, and I don't think Elgin's recovered, and I don't think that he, when he came back, I don't think what they did worked the way that they wanted it to. So this just really, it fell flat.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
Yeah, it didn't help the company either. So
big mistake by that company. I agree, that was a big mistake. Although we did get a very, very nice payoff to a feud with Jay Briscoe versus Adam Cole.
We did, but it felt like it was so long after the ladder war because
Yeah.
Like they were building to something else, and they're like, "Oh fuck, let's go back." So,
yeah, I agree. Good point.
good match, but hurt things.
Okay. My number 3 was the Gracies and the NWA's involvement in New Japan.
That's a good one.
Thank you. I talked about this in our wrestling awards. That the Gracies in New Japan really just brought down the entire shows with their feud with Sakuraba, and just their terrible, terrible matches. Their fake MMA did not work. It did not connect with the crowd, and they didn't know what the fuck they were doing. One of them had a match with Nakamura, and Nakamura could not get this guy to have a good match, which is shocking that a man of Nakamura's immense talent could not make a guy look good.
Not even a little bit.
Not even a little bit. It was a terrible match. But besides that, there's also the NWA, which Rob Conway is not a guy you want to be building up big matches on a show around.
Isn't he one of the longest reigning?
Yeah, he's longer reigning than like guys like Terry Funk, Steamboat, household names in professional wrestling. Conway has a longer reign as the NWA champion than them. That is embarrassing because Conway is not a household name.
He's terrible.
No. He's a guy that looks like he's trying to be a badass and trying to be a star, but he's not. We had Michael Tarver come in and be terrible. We had Big Daddy Yum Yum, which the best thing he did was give us the worst selling 2 chops ever in the history of wrestling. We had Drax or whatever the fuck his name, Jax Drake, whatever,
Oh, God,
whatever his name was. He was bad. But there are 2 things that NWA did give us positive. Chase Owens, which he's pretty good and deserves a chance to shine, and Bruce Turpin or whatever his name is, who was fucking awesome and is fucking selling and being angry all the time at the Japanese, the NWA president, Konnichiwa.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was fucking awesome.
But they did also give us not Bischoff. What's the other kid's name that from TNA?
Wes Briscoe.
Jesus Christ.
God, he was bad. So 2 positive things and 2 nuggets of good in a pile of shit that was Gracie's and NWA in New Japan, which is the NWA is still continuing in this year.
Sweet.
Yay.
All right. Well, I guess that'll take us to my number 2, and my number 2 was your number 4.
Yeah.
Batista winning the Royal Rumble and the Royal Rumble match itself, and the pay-per-view, obviously, but mainly the decision to keep Batista on to win the Royal Rumble. Obviously, it was a disaster, and it turned out as poorly as possible.
Yeah.
When it came to actually like watching it live, that must have been sickening feeling for the people backstage when they realized that this was a disaster.
I wish I could have been backstage and witnessed what was going through their minds.
Oh, it would have been amazing.
Like, just like, what was the reaction when they realized, like, shit, this didn't work?
From Kane eliminating Punk, that was another thing in the match that nobody really enjoyed.
Stupid.
But it really came down to them really wanting Batista to be in the main event. And if we think for a second, if that match that they wanted actually took place,
it would have been a bloodbath.
Right, that would have been on the list, right?
Absolutely. It'd have been the worst main event in the history of WrestleMania. Bar none.
So this is on the list because it's just an example that you can sit there and still to this day you can go back on WWE Network and watch this terrible decision making and terrible booking and making a mockery of the people that support your company. So this has to make the list.
Absolutely. It was terrible. My number 2 is actually close to your number 5. It's TNA. And again, it's just TNA in general. Because I didn't put it higher. Last year, TNA in its whole was my number 1 because they were just so bad. But this year, they did have a little bit of an upswing near the end of the year. Good for them. Didn't really improve at all. They just had a little bit of an upswing. But for them to have Sting and AJ, 2 main staples of TNA for years, guys who had brought to AJ Styles, who basically carried TNA on his back for years and years and years, to be leaving and for them to do the horrible booked match that they did for his last match is an absolute disgrace. This was a match that could have had AJ just go out there and put over Magnus clean. Wouldn't have been a big deal. Let the old guard put over the new guard. That's fine. And AJ, I think, would have done it, no problem.
Oh yeah.
You know, this could have been a moment that you could have made the matches look good, but no, you made. I didn't want. You want to make him look like a cheating heel champion. So you in return bury him and you make AJ look like an ass because he's having such a shitty match. You then do the same thing with Sting 2 weeks later. Sting, who is a legend of wrestling. They got, you know, we're not the biggest fans of Sting, but I still respect the guy that he's a legend.
Well, I mean, if you spend that many years putting this guy over in your company, that seems like you do a little more for him than what they did.
Yeah. No, it was an overbooked nightmare with everyone in their mother interfering, trying to screw over Sting. And it was just, it made everyone look bad. And they proceeded to keep doing this with their stupid bullshit of, you know, having a pay-per-view and then the very next night have a rematch for the title and then have a new champion crown instead of doing it on pay-per-view. What the fuck are you doing? And just multiple questionable decisions, and just why would you keep doing the same stupid shit? And then of course there was the terrible tragedy that was Bound for Glory in Japan, which we thought was like that's gonna be a disaster, and was like, well, maybe they'll pull out some other ass. No, they completely forgot that Bound for Glory even took place, basically, because they didn't hype it up at all on television for like 1 or 2 matches. And guess what? It was a terrible show. Shocking.
Blows my mind.
And in fact, it was so bad that you had the Team 3D, who was your Hall of Fame inductees, going out there after the match and trying to cut a promo on the Bullet Club, trying to get booked for New Japan.
That's sad.
That is really
sad.
sad.
Not get booked.
No, they look like idiots. Yeah, TNA, you really embarrassed yourself this year, and guess what? 2015 starts, and you continue to embarrass yourself. So, same old TNA, and yeah, it's just the fucking wheel of TNA. It just keeps going around and around and around, and they never learn.
No, it's never gonna change until they fizzle out. No, if they ever die.
I hope they die one day.
All right. Well, my number one was the decisions that led to the quitting of CM Punk. I feel like this was something that affected wrestling pretty heavily. I mean, WWE's whole scene at the time, CM Punk was heavily involved in, considered one of their main eventers. And for a guy to get so sick of working for your company, sick of not being told what the next step is, a guy that's being treated poorly by medical staff, you know, negligence, trying to book a guy that you know wants only one thing, and that's the main event of WrestleMania. You're trying to book him with a guy that's already refused to put him over previously, and that's a match that he, as we all know, would have only made Triple H look better, and I'm talking about the one at WrestleMania, obviously. And there were so many bad decisions that went into Punk finally quitting, but I think that is something that people are still polarized about him leaving. You know, people are mad at Punk, but to me, this is one of those things that falls on WWE. And you know, he talked about it
on the
podcast, and more things came out about, you know, being fired basically on his wedding day and things like that, and you realize that this is something that it should have never happened the way it did, but it affected their booking going forward. So
I agree. It was a big
issue.
It was a really sad thing that CM Punk left, but at the same time, I think him leaving had a very positive effect because it kind of sparked the fans to be more vocal about wanting Daniel Bryan to get his chance, because everyone knew that CM Punk wanted the spot in WrestleMania. So like they were like, you know, like we're not gonna let Daniel Bryan's moment be taken away from him because you guys don't want to.
Right.
So in a weird way, I think him leaving was probably a very positive thing in the long run, because it changed the way people look at the WWE, and he's kind of been like, in a weird way, he kind of died the hero in a way.
Yeah, it's strange because he said years back that he wanted to be the catalyst for change, but it took him quitting for that to really be driven.
So it's almost like he martyred himself.
He's the martyr. Yeah.
It's a weird look at it. But
of course, of all people, he's most fitting.
Yeah,
you know,
you just see him about the guy who like really doesn't give a shit about anyone but himself in a weird way.
It's so strange how played itself out.
Yeah, but it's a very interesting thing. My number one is something that became very, very obvious as the year progressed, which is WWE non-finishes. I think this has been such a fucking issue, and it's been more and more obvious now with the network, because they can get away with this shit, I think.
Yeah.
Night of Champions ended with a non-finish. Hell in a Cell ended with a fucked up finish. The Survivor Series ended with a finish that was then quickly changed a few weeks later. TLC ended with a fucked finish. Our good friend Trademark worked for WWE for 3 months as an intern, and he said, I watched SmackDown for 3 months every time it was on. And for those 3 months, every single show, for the most part, ended with a DQ finish for the main event.
Like, what is the point of watching that?
And it's just, it's not really just like the DQ finish. It's the fact that WWE has this mentality that they can't have guys just lose clean. They have to make it some kind of fucking gimmicky thing to protect guys. And it shouldn't be a big deal, but it is, because it's something that New Japan and ROH and PWG and all these other companies have been able to figure out a way, well, we can do this, and then we can maybe somebody that got to look good by doing this, or whatever.
Right.
It's not hard to book, and it's a bad thing, because if they keep doing it for pay-per-views that are kind of meaningless, and we don't, like, you know, Night of Champions, no one cares about, TLC, all that shit, no one really cares about those pay-per-views, but it's something that it's becoming a very, very obvious signature of WWE, whatever. And it's something that needs to be stopped, because with the WWE Network, they think they can pull this shit off all the time.
Exactly.
Non-finishes in WWE in this day and age should only be used sparingly. It doesn't need to... When was the last time an NXT match ended with a DQ finish on one of their big shows? Never.
No.
Okay? You need to be booking smarter. And really, I guess it should just be WWE's booking. WWE's booking is the worst thing of this year, because they're so stupid in the way they book stuff. They don't know what they're doing. They don't think ahead. You know, like, for instance, they obviously want to protect Bray Wyatt now for possibly a match with Undertaker. Well, you should have been thinking of that when you had him go against Cena and got his ass kicked, and then had nothing for him to do.
And the worst thing about it is that they think week to week. They don't think long term at all.
Yeah.
You know, they don't think what's going to happen after this pay-per-view, where we're going to go when this feud ends.
Yes. And actually, I think I might have to change the WWE booking in general, because I mean, like, look at like the thing with Roman Reigns. I mean, they broke up the Shield, and it's like, well, that was a cool moment. Where do we go from here? Well, Ambrose and Rollins are going to feud. Okay, what about Reigns? Well, he's going to go for the WWE title. Why? Why is he going for the WWE title? Why isn't he going after Rollins?
Right. Rollins turned on him
Yeah.
first. And you look at Rollins and Ambrose. They had that nice long feud that never had any kind of finish.
Yeah.
What?
I know. It's just WWE's booking has been slowly going downhill. Meanwhile, NXT has been kicking ass. You know, and it's pretty obvious that the problem isn't the WWE itself. It's the writers. It's the bookers. It's the guys in charge. Vince McMahon is probably the problem. He doesn't get anymore. He's personally writing Roman Reigns' promos, apparently, which explained why his promos are so goddamn bad.
Wow.
He used the line recently on SmackDown, "Suffering succotash."
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he stole a line from Sylvester from the Looney Tunes.
Like, nobody even watches the Looney Tunes. Are they on television anymore?
Yeah, they're somewhere. Like on
Somewhere.
Boomerang, you know, or some shit.
Yeah, you gotta pay extra for that shit.
Yeah. So WWE's booking is the worst thing of the year, in my opinion, and it's just it's embarrassing that they're so bad when they have so much potential, so much money and talent invested in this company, and they can't do better than what they're doing now. And I feel like we do that every fucking year. It's like goddamn Groundhog's Day, only it's a year long. Every year we come back around this time like, man, WWE needs to be picking their shit up.
Right. They got all the tools, but they just can't fucking string it together.
Also, we forgot to do this award in our award video, but it's the "Fuck You Going Forward" award. Do we have anything for that?
How about the WWE writers?
There you go. Yeah, there you go. They win twice this year. They win my worst of the year, and they win the "Fuck You Going Forward" WWE writers. And we'll give but at the same time we give the thumbs up to the NXT writers, because they're good.
Yeah.
They actually get wrestling.
So yeah, they understand.
All right. Let's go from the worst. And switch over to the best.
All right. For my number 5, I went with the push of Ambrose and Rollins. I wouldn't say that the way it was done was the best, But to see these guys break away, emerge, become high-level guys on the card, and they're not WWE guys, you know, they're not the guys that you would expect them to pick. So to see these guys break out, it gave me hope, you know, that there's going to be talent that's going to get some real pushes.
Yeah. That's a good choice, and that is really that was very nice to see those two guys getting pushed into such a main staple of the company for a while.
Yes, exactly.
My number 5 is a personal one for me, which is Kevin Steen finally getting signed to the big leagues. For me, that was a big moment for me personally because Kevin Steen is the guy that really changed the way I look at professional wrestling. Because his feud with El Generico in 2010 was a legendary feud and one that is considered still one of the best of all time in my opinion, at least. And I looked at Kevin Steen and I'm like, man, usually this guy looks like a weird dude, and I'm like, wow, man, this guy's a wrestler. And then I actually saw him wrestle and like, holy shit, he's actually good. And I continued following his career. I followed him to PWG. I watched him in ROH come back and make his big return. I was so excited for it. And then his return to ROH permanently in Final Battle 2011. I saw his rise to the champion. I watched all his matches as champion. I was so invested in this guy. And I remember like when his promos came out or interviews came out about talking about how Jim Cornette didn't think he was good enough, that he wasn't this main stable guy, that he's just a hardcore garbage wrestler. I felt really ashamed because I was a big Jim Cornette fan. Mm-hmm. But to finally see a guy like Kevin Steen get into great shape, bust his ass, work so hard, and to finally, after all this time, all this hard work, like I think he said 11 or 12 fucking years, busting his ass to make it to WWE, and to make such an impact in his very first match. It's a moment that's like you can't take away that memory.
Right.
It was amazing, and also just the fact that we got to see his very last ROH show live. Amazing, man, and it was almost like it was meant to be, you know. It was like a personal, like
poetic.
So poetic. It's like, man, the reason I went to my very first ROH show was because of Kevin Steen, and now I'm going to the last one he's ever a part of. It's like, holy shit, man, this is crazy, you know. So and I actually got a hug Kevin Steen before he went through the curtain for one last time, man. It's like the feels, man. So Kevin Steen getting signed to WWE is just one of the greatest things ever to happen to him and for me as a wrestling fan, because it's so awesome to see my favorite wrestler finally making it.
Right on, man. Love that. Love it.
Came for the heart. We love you, Kevin Steen.
All right.
We're getting feels up in here.
Yeah, real whoo. Cool.
Wrestle, do this here. Yeah.
No. All right. Well, let's jump into my number 4 here, and that was the combination of ROH and New Japan.
Yeah.
Also, New Japan pay-per-view in the U.S. So kind of a combination.
All right, man.
It was all in one.
Good choice.
Being able, this goes back to what you were just talking about, being able to go to Canada and watch New Japan and having matches with ROH guys. It was something I never thought I'd ever see in a million years. Like, I always thought, if I want to see Nakamura, Okada, Tanahashi, I got to go to Tokyo Dome. I'm going to have to go. And when we found out that they were in Toronto, we're like, buy the tickets, we'll figure it out. We'll figure the rest out later.
Yeah, we literally bought, I had no fucking money to afford the hotel. I was like, fuck, man, I'm going to call like my grandpa.
Didn't take work off yet.
Yeah, it's like fuck, man, what are we going to do? And it's like, we'll figure something out. Like, we literally had the tickets and had no way of getting to Canada. Like, we were fucking dumb about it, man.
So,
oh, man.
I was so excited about that, and it delivered. They had a great show in New York, and then to see ROH guys getting booked on New Japan shows, winning their titles, Red Dragon, to name a few, it was just amazing, and to see some of your favorite wrestlers working together, I loved it, and the fact that it wasn't this one-time thing, but it opened the doors. Yeah. So it's even better for me now because I know that in the future I can expect more of this.
Yeah, yeah, and like that was a really great moment for us in general, man. I mean, going out there to meet like guys like Forever Hooligans, shaking the hand of Jushin Thunder Liger. I never thought I would have that honor, man. And it was so incredible to meet these guys and to be able to see these guys wrestle live. And yeah, that's a highlight of my like I haven't been to WrestleMania yet, and like I think that's probably like a highlight of my wrestling fandom is going to see those guys live, and we're gonna be doing it again this year, hopefully.
Hopefully.
For a double shot. Toronto, baby. Gonna be great. My number 4 is WWE NXT. This was a show that got wrestling down to a T. They knew exactly how to deliver their show. They knew how to write it. They know how to present it. And, I mean, my God, man, the fucking roster they have gotten now is insane. Sami Zayn, Hideo Itami, Finn Balor, Kevin Owens, Adrian Neville, Kalisto, Tyler Breeze. Who else is on there? Tyson Kidd's even down there. He's damn good. Who else? I'm forgetting some people probably.
I mean, there's guys that they get to.
Yeah, Solomon Crow. Drake as the fucking greatest referee of all time, man. Yeah, love you, Drake. it's insane, man. The level of talent they have down there. And even the guys that like I'm not a huge fan of, but like that vaudeville, I'm like I'm not a huge fan of these guys, but man, they're pretty good for what they do.
Yeah, their gimmick's fun.
Yeah.
So
you know, the Ascension, man. I always man like they're not the greatest, but there's something about them I really like.
I even liked what they did with having Regal as like a authority
figure.
Yeah,
it was great.
Just like, it's simple stuff. It's not over the top.
Yeah,
they respect their audience.
Yeah, and the fucking NXT specials, man. NXT Arrival, oh my God, was that good?
Amazing show.
Amazing. Takeover was great. Fatal 4-Way was great. Our Evolution was amazing. And you know we're going into 2015 now with the idea of a Sami Zayn Kevin Owens feud. Oh my God, can I be excited anymore? And just NXT really shines and shows exactly what the WWE is capable of when put in the right hands.
Right. And that they're an example that we can point to and say, this is why we're so mad that WWE isn't as good as it is.
Absolutely, I think so. And I think that's why people are so angry on the WWE now, is because like you look at NXT, it's like, listen, you guys clearly know how to do wrestling.
There's no excuse.
No, it's just, you know, there's obviously one person wrong, or one person in the higher up that doesn't get it. It's Vince.
Well, my number 3 is NXT, so what else can we say about that? You know, like you said, the talent's coming up, the show's awesome, they understand how to book a show. One thing I want to point out about the way that they book their shows is it's like built up. Like,
yeah.
It climaxes at the finish, at the main
crescendo.
event. Yes, and that's a hard thing to do, honestly. I mean, look at ROH in the Cornette time. They tried to tell people, okay, dumb it down a little bit, and then and it didn't work. The whole show was hurt by it. So they got some formula that's working, but yeah, how much more?
But not only that, and they also give divas, you know, time to deliver real matches. They don't dumb it down for them. They let them go out there and they let them be wrestlers, which is great.
And not a bunch of backstage ridiculous bullshit.
No, exactly. Backstage stuff is very simple and it's kept very basic, you know.
Yeah, it's like interviews. That's
I love that. They don't need skits. My number 3 was something that we were very excited for going into this year, which was a 3-day weekend of some of the best pro wrestling on the planet, baby.
Yeah.
And that's PWG Bola, man. We sat down and watched this show. We watched the first 2 shows, and it was like fucking midnight by the time we got done with the second show. And we were so jacked up on the power of professional wrestling. We're like, look, you want to watch day 3? And like we almost did.
Oh,
we had
so
shit to do. But man, this show was so fucking. These shows were so fucking amazing, man. From beginning to end, these shows felt coherent. They felt like they were telling stories that played over to the next night and to the third night, and it was just awesome. Some of the best wrestling on the fucking planet, man. Talent from all across the world coming together and just having a fantastic show. And I think the Young Bucks said it best. We have never been on a show with a bigger roster of talent than that night. And it's true, man. Those shows were insane. Some of the best matches of the year came out of those shows, man. And I think it really just shows that the power of the indie still is like there's still talent out there. There are still guys out there going out there to deliver best shows.
Bola was an amazing week.
Absolutely,
Loved it. Man. My number 2
is actually my number 2 as well.
Oh, all right. Well, we can get right into it.
Lead the way.
All right. Is the New Japan Pro Wrestling G1 Climax Tournament.
24.
24. Oh, excuse me.
Oh.
24. this tournament was amazing, and the thing about it, it's my number 2. I haven't even seen the whole thing yet.
Yeah,
that's how good it was.
There's still a few shows left.
But the fact is, like, the matches in these shows in this short amount of time, you know, the shows weren't spread out over a long period.
No,
of time.
it was like a process of like I think like probably 3 or maybe 4 weeks. No, I think probably 3 weeks actually.
So
something like that.
And what is that? 12 shows?
12 shows, yes.
And there was never really a show that you could tell that they were taking it off. You know, like shows that you didn't think were going to really matter. You were seeing 4 or 5 star quality matches. Yeah. Just amazing stuff. Most people would consider this the best tournament in wrestling history. It's definitely up there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like I said, I haven't finished it, and I look forward to finishing it. But,
yeah, fantastic. I mean, it was great. It elevated a lot of guys. It made a lot of guys look great. I mean, Hunma went out there as like a guy who was put in last second, and he went out there and had some of the best matches of the tournament. And man, it's fantastic. And again, it just goes to show, man, this was 12 days of just pure wrestling awesomeness, and we love it, man. That's great. And I like the fact that like these guys can just go out there and do that, and still on day 12 can still be delivering great matches as well as they were on day 1. Mm-hmm. And it just shows their dedication to the sport of professional wrestling, I think.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
All right. And again, we have the same number 1. So
I'll let you have this one.
I want to do a flashback, if I may.
Yes.
Okay. I want you to flashback all the way to August of 2013. The main event is John Cena, Daniel Bryan. We're nervous, but we're excited because we're like, man, Daniel Bryan could finally win the big one here. He could win it. He can take it home. He could become a champion. It'd be fucking amazing. We watched that show live, and I remember the moment he won. We jumped up, we hugged it out, and we were just so excited. And then the moment was taken away from that son of a bitch, Randy Orton, who cashed in his Money in the Bank. But we were just disheartened. But we're just like, you know what? He still won. He still had his moment. He won the WWE title against the biggest star in the company. That's him to take home point. He'll win that belt back one day. Flash forward, and Night of Champions, he wins it, and he gets stripped the next night. And I remember he wins that match, and we're just like, oh yeah, he won. It's like it just didn't feel the head that.
There's something different.
Yeah,
there's something different about it.
So as we get into the WrestleMania season, we kind of realized, man, they're not going to let Daniel Bryan be in that main event. And it was disheartening. We were sad. We were depressed. But then as time went on, we're just like, man, they got to be putting him in the match. They got to be doing it. They can't deny the crowd. The crowd's going to lose their mind if they don't do it. And lo and behold, WrestleMania, Daniel Bryan has his opportunity. It's versus Triple H in the first match of WrestleMania 30. It's a big deal. The match was fucking amazing. Probably the match of the night, in my opinion. One of the best matches of the year. Great match from WWE.
Fantastic.
Fantastic. Daniel Bryan wins the big match. He won the first, and he's going into that main event.
Here we go, baby.
Here we go, man. We're rocking and rolling.
Here we go. Woo! Edge of the seat now.
Yeah.
We got this. We got this.
That match takes place, man. And they're rocking and rolling. They're getting that heat on them.
Oh, baby.
Orton and Batista being sons of bitches, holding down Daniel Bryan. They're double teaming him. Oh, man, those sons of bitches. Daniel Bryan's getting stretchered out because of taking a huge table bump, man.
Massive bump.
Massive bump.
Big old
he gets up that shoulder. He ain't going down.
No, it's not over yet.
He ain't going down, daddy. We then go in that home stretch. Daniel Bryan hits the fucking knee. Batista throws him out of the ring. Oh my God. DC's going to steal it. 1, 2, big kick out. Triple H is here. He's that some bitch. He's going to cost Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan takes him out.
That's right.
Daniel Bryan hits that fucking knee on Batista. He locks in that yes lock good and tight, baby.
Tap, baby, tap.
And Batista taps out. That's the climax, baby. That's the moment, man.
That's the moment my whole life is built to as a wrestling fan.
And that's the moment where we were just like, yes. It was a moment that cannot be explained. Even doing it in words doesn't do it justice.
No.
It
I
was
don't know if it'll be top. Ever could be topped.
It was, in our mind, the greatest professional wrestler in the history of North America. Going out there and having the match of his life. And winning the biggest title in the world on the grandest stage of them all. WrestleMania.
As a genuine underdog. A guy that was never supposed to be anything at all.
Who was called a B-plus player, and the mind that
trashed his whole first year by Michael Cole, shit on in NXT when it was what it was at the time.
And he went out there, he had the match, and he won the belt. The whole crowd, 80,000 plus people doing yes. They were yesing down Bourbon Street that night. He went out, the confetti is flying.
He's throwing up the belts with the yes chant. He's getting tired. You can tell his arms are getting tired.
Yeah.
It's just
they're big ass belts.
Oh yeah.
And my God, man, you could not just nothing can describe how happy we were that moment. We were having tears in our eyes, man, because finally the guy that we like, that is a man that deserves to be the top of the mountain, had finally made it to the top of the mountain. And you know what? The only thing that was better was the next night on Raw when he goes out there, and the fans aren't chanting Daniel Bryan or yes, yes. They're chanting, "You deserve it."
Exactly.
And you know what's the thing? He did. Daniel Bryan winning the WWE title at WrestleMania 30 is, in my mind, a moment that will never be forgotten in the history of professional wrestling. It was a moment years in the making, and in my mind was the end of a fucking amazing feud between the Authority and Daniel Bryan, and really was the proof that you can overcome the odds, and you can keep on fighting, and one day you can succeed.
And it's one of the only WrestleManias that pop right into my mind where I instantly think the win at the end and the confetti, it felt legitimate. Like everybody believed like this was all this culmination. It wasn't just a 1 month feud. It was like a lifetime of a man's quest for this, you know, his dream. It was amazing.
Mm-hmm. And I'm hoping that this year, maybe, just maybe, if the cards are right and WWE gets their head out of their ass, we can have that moment again when Daniel Bryan slays the monster Brock Lesnar. I want that to happen so badly.
It'd be beautiful.
We
We might even be talking about that next year.
We could,
if
man.
that happens.
We could indeed. We know what was funny? Last year, the best of 2013 was Daniel Bryan winning at SummerSlam, I think. Or one of them. It was damn close.
It was up there.
It was damn close, man. And I think 2014 could be Daniel Bryan being the WWE champion, actually being able to hold that belt for a while without an injury. I want that to be true.
It'd be nice to see.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for joining us. Just a little heads up. The Match of the Year list will be a little late because we want to get done with the G1 and get like all the great matches out of the way. We want to make sure that list is right for you. We're looking out for you, the wrestling fans.
That's right.
So take care, guys, and we'll see you soon.